Eclipse of Eternity. Chapter 1. The Shadow Directive. The Elysium, a gleaming silver flagship of the United Planetary Alliance, drifted silently through the vast emptiness of space, its hull reflecting the distant stars like a celestial mirror. Captain Alicia Tarkin stood at the observation deck, her eyes scanning the infinite horizon for a glimpse of the unknown. She had always been drawn to the mysteries of the universe, like a moth to a flame, and her career in the UPA had only served to deepen her curiosity. Her thoughts were interrupted by the sound of footsteps echoing down the corridor. She turned to see Admiral Gareth Krieger approaching, a stern expression etched onto his face. The weight of responsibility hung heavily on his shoulders, evident in the lines that creased his forehead. "Captain Tarkin," he began, his voice betraying a hint of urgency, "I trust you've reviewed the mission dossier?" Alicia nodded, her gaze unwavering. "Yes, sir. It appears we're delving into uncharted territory, quite literally." Krieger's lips tightened into a thin line. "Indeed. The Shadow Directive is a mission unlike any other. The stakes are high, and the risks even higher. But the intelligence we gather could be the key to avoiding all-out war with the Ganari Dominion." Alicia studied the Admiral's face, searching for any trace of uncertainty. She found none. "I understand, sir. My team and I are prepared to do whatever it takes to ensure the success of this mission." "Good," Krieger replied, a glimmer of relief in his eyes. "I've handpicked your team based on their exceptional skills and unwavering loyalty to the UPA. I have no doubt that you'll be able to work together effectively, even in the most trying circumstances." As they made their way to the mission briefing room, Alicia couldn't help but wonder about the individuals who would accompany her on this perilous journey. She had led countless missions throughout her career, but never before had the fate of the galaxy hung so precariously in the balance. As they entered the mission briefing room, Captain Tarkin caught her first glimpse of the team members who would be joining her on the Shadow Directive. They sat around a polished steel table, their eyes flicking to Alicia and Admiral Krieger as the door slid shut behind them. Krieger gestured to the seats at the head of the table. "Please, Captain, have a seat." He cleared his throat before continuing. "Allow me to introduce your team. First, we have Lieutenant Commander Eamon Vance, your second-in-command and weapons expert." A tall man with a chiseled jaw and intense blue eyes nodded in acknowledgement, his expression stoic. Alicia smiled. "Eamon, I've heard about your commendation for that daring rescue mission on Krell 7. Your tactical expertise is well-renowned." "Thank you, Captain," Eamon replied, his face showing a hint of pride. Next, we have Ensign Naya West, our communication specialist and linguist. A young woman with dark hair and an air of quiet determination smiled briefly, her eyes meeting Alicia's for a moment before she returned her attention to the Admiral. "Yeah, your work decrypting the Zorvathian transmission codes during the Zatari conflict was invaluable. I'm glad to have you on the team." Naya blushed slightly but responded with confidence. "I appreciate your kind words, Captain. I'm looking forward to working with you." Alicia turned her attention to the next crew member, a tall man with unkempt brown hair and a perpetual grin that hinted at a playful side. "And this is Jackson, our ship's engineer. He's responsible for keeping the Umbra running smoothly and making sure we have the best tech at our disposal." Jackson winked at Alicia and extended his hand towards her. "Nice to meet you, Captain. You can count on me to keep this ship in top shape." Alicia shook his hand, appreciating the confidence and camaraderie he exuded. "I've heard nothing but good things about your skills, Jackson. We're fortunate to have you on board." As Alicia continued with the introductions, Jackson leaned against a nearby console, his eyes scanning the room with an eagerness that betrayed his excitement for the upcoming mission. He had always been passionate about technology and engineering, and the thought of applying his skills in the service of such a critical mission filled him with a sense of purpose. Though he was relatively new to the crew, Jackson had quickly become a valued member of the team, earning the respect of his peers through his expertise and easygoing nature. His ability to keep the Umbra in peak condition, even under the most trying of circumstances, had proven invaluable time and again. It was clear that, As they embarked on this dangerous mission, Jackson's skills and dedication would be more crucial than ever. And as the crew of the Umbra prepared to face the challenges that lay ahead, they knew they could count on him to stand by their side, ready to tackle any obstacle that came their way. Finally, Dr. Mira Chen, our resident biologist and expert in Ganari physiology. A petite woman with glasses perched on her nose and a warm, intelligent gaze offered a friendly nod. Alicia nodded in return. Dr. Chen, your breakthrough in understanding Ganari neural pathways was groundbreaking. Your expertise will be vital in this mission. Dr. Chen smiled warmly. Thank you, Captain Tarkin. I'm excited to contribute to the success of this mission. Captain Tarkin acknowledged each member with a nod of her own. Her eyes met Eamon's for a moment longer than the others, and the subtle tightening of his lips suggested a deeper connection between them. An unspoken understanding seemed to pass between the two, hinting at a shared history that neither wished to reveal. Admiral Krieger activated the holographic projector in the center of the table, and an intricate three-dimensional map of the galaxy appeared before them. The swirling colors of nebulas and distant star systems cast a mesmerizing glow across the room, momentarily distracting from the lingering tension. As you know, Krieger began, the Ganari Dominion has been steadily expanding its influence throughout the galaxy. Their advanced telepathic abilities and energy manipulation technology have given them a significant edge over our own forces. He paused, his finger hovering over a cluster of stars near the border of UPA and Ganari Dominion territories. Our intelligence has recently detected unusual energy signatures originating from this region. We believe that this may be the key to understanding their technology and, ultimately, leveling the playing field. Alicia leaned forward, her interest piqued, and our mission is to infiltrate their territory and gather any information we can on these energy signatures. Exactly, Krieger replied, his eyes locked onto hers. A tense silence settled over the room, punctuated only by the hum of the Elysium's engines. The weight of their mission and the secrets it held was palpable in the air around them. Captain Tarkin took a deep breath, steeling herself for the challenges that lay ahead. Very well, Admiral, the Shadow Directive will not fail. We'll uncover the truth behind these mysteries and bring the answers back to the UPA. The following days were filled with meticulous preparations and briefings, as Captain Tarkin and her team worked tirelessly to ensure they were ready for the covert mission. They studied the Ganari Dominion's culture and language, their military tactics, and the intricacies of their technology. During one of their training sessions, the team gathered around a holographic representation of the Ganari Dominion's territory, delving deep into the nuances of their culture. Captain Tarkin quizzed her crew on the information they had been studying. Dr. Chen, Tarkin began, can you explain the significance of the Ganari's dorsal fin markings in their social hierarchy? Dr. Chen responded confidently. Yes, Captain. The color and pattern of a Ganari's dorsal fin markings indicate their status and profession within their society. More spots represent higher-ranking individuals, while intricate patterns signify specialized roles. Excellent, Dr. Chen, Tarkin praised her with a nod. Turning to Eamon, she asked, Lieutenant Commander Vance, what is the primary weakness in the Ganari Dominion's defense grid, and how can we exploit it? Eamon hesitated for a moment before responding. The Ganari defense grid relies heavily on a centralized control system. If we can disable it, we can create an opening to slip through. However, I'm not sure about the exact method to achieve this. Captain Tarkin's expression turned stern. Eamon, you must do better. Lives depend on it. Study their technology and find a way to exploit this weakness. Maybe we could implement a cascading power surge in one of the relays. If it reaches central control, the whole system could go down, Eamon said contemplatively. Sounds viable. Spin it up in the simulator. I want a full report, said Tarkin. As the departure date drew closer, the team members found themselves practically living in the briefing room. The space became a testament to their dedication, with piles of disorganized manuals, textbooks, maps, and diagrams covering every available surface. Empty coffee cups accumulated in the corners, evidence of countless late nights spent studying. One evening, while poring over a map of Ganari Dominion territory, Dr. Chen lit a cigarette. "What is that?" asked Naya, staring at the smoldering stick hanging out of Dr. Chen's mouth with astonishment. "It's a cigarette. Back on Earth it used to be all the rage, hundreds of years ago," replied Dr. Chen. "What's it for?" asked Naya. "Nothing useful. Basically giving yourself cancer. Apparently they used to think that this made you look cool," said Dr. Chen, exhaling a cloud of smoke. "But you're a doctor. Why would you purposefully do something that is so unhealthy?" said Dr. Chen, finishing her sentence. "Yeah," replied Naya. "I started smoking out of curiosity. I wanted to understand firsthand what would drive someone to risk their health in such a frivolous way. Unfortunately, it turns out I have an addictive personality, and I got hooked." "Have you tried quitting?" asked Naya. "Yeah, it's really hard," said Dr. Chen, taking another long, slow drag on her cigarette. One morning as Alessia was walking past the mess hall, she overheard Naya debating Eamon again. "A rich business mogul paid for a satellite thermal image scan of the entire lock. They found nothing. That proves—" began Eamon. "That only proves that he's not warm-blooded," Naya interrupted passionately. "Easy, you two. Save it for the Ganari," said Captain Tarkin, easing tensions. "Captain, can you please tell Ensign West to give us a break from her supernatural tales? It's hard enough focusing on the mission without adding ghosts to the mix," complained Eamon. "Cynic," scoffed Naya. Though they were sometimes at odds, a camaraderie began to form among the team members, tempered by the knowledge that they would soon be venturing into the heart of enemy territory. Alicia noticed the subtle dynamics emerging within her team. One day, as she passed by the mess hall, she overheard Eamon and Naya in a lively conversation. "Did you know that the Ganari have an entire caste system based on the number of spots on their fins?" Naya asked, clearly fascinated by the topic. "Yeah, I heard Dr. Chen talking about that recently. The ones with the most spots are considered the highest ranking." "Right?" Eamon replied, sharing her enthusiasm. "Exactly. It's amazing how such a small detail can have such a significant impact on their society," Naya said, then added teasingly, "Who knows, maybe one day we'll find out the number of freckles on your face determines your rank in our society." Eamon laughed, taking the tease in stride. "Well, in that case, I'd be a king." Alicia couldn't help but smile at their mutual admiration and easy banter. As she continued down the hallway, she thought of Naya and Dr. Chen's deep conversation. She observed earlier that day their shared enthusiasm for knowledge and discovery was evident in their animated gestures. Alessia mused to herself that it was probably their similar interests and curiosity that drew them together as friends. However, her thoughts inevitably returned to Eamon and Naya's budding friendship. The ease and familiarity with which they interacted reminded her of the early days of her own friendship with Eamon, a friendship that had once evolved into something more. Alicia whispered to herself, "Focus, Alicia. The mission comes first." Finally, the day of departure arrived. The team gathered in the hangar bay where their stealth ship, the Umbra, awaited. The vessel's sleek, angular design gave it an almost predatory appearance, and its advanced cloaking technology would render it virtually undetectable as they navigated Ganari Dominion space. Alicia stood before her team, her eyes meeting each of theirs in turn. "I know we've all worked hard to prepare for this mission, and I have every confidence in our ability to succeed. The challenges we face will be great, but so too will be the rewards. Remember, the fate of the galaxy rests on our shoulders. We cannot afford to fail." Her words were met with solemn nods, the gravity of their mission clear on each face. Together, they boarded the Umbra, the ship's engines humming to life as they prepared to embark on their journey. Once they had settled into their positions, Alicia found herself alone in her quarters, staring out at the vast expanse of space beyond the viewport. She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing down on her. There was so much that could go wrong, so many unknowns lurking in the darkness, but there were also questions that demanded answers, secrets hidden behind the veil of the Ganari Dominion that could change the course of the galaxy forever. It was these mysteries that drove her forward, that fueled the fire in her heart. With a resolute nod, she turned away from the viewport and made her way to the bridge. There was no turning back now. The Umbra slipped silently into the black void of space, its course set for the heart of the Gennari Dominion and the answers that lay hidden within. As the Umbra neared the Gennari Dominion, the tension on board the vessel grew palpable. Captain Tarkin and her team spent their days refining their plans, analyzing the intelligence they had gathered, and preparing for the myriad challenges they would soon face. One evening, as the team gathered in the ship's mess hall for dinner, Eamon approached Alicia, a faint smile playing at the corners of his mouth. "You know, Captain, you've been pushing us pretty hard lately. Perhaps a break is in order?" Alicia raised an eyebrow, her expression unreadable. "Are you suggesting we're not prepared for our mission, Commander?" Eamon held up his hands defensively. "Not at all. I simply thought we could all use a moment to unwind, get to know each other a bit better." He glanced around at the others, who nodded in agreement. Alessia considered the proposal, weighing the benefits of camaraderie against the need for constant vigilance. Finally, she relented. "Very well, but only for a short time. We can't afford to lose focus." With that, the group shifted from their usual serious demeanor to a more relaxed atmosphere, sharing stories of past missions and humorous anecdotes that elicited laughter and good-natured teasing. Naya and Dr. Chen traded stories of their most bizarre discoveries, their shared enthusiasm for exploration evident in their animated gestures and wide-eyed expressions. "You should have seen it, Naya!" Dr. Chen exclaimed, her eyes twinkling with amusement. "The creature had tentacles for legs and a head shaped like a pineapple. It took us days to figure out it was actually a plant and not an animal." Naya laughed, her eyes crinkling with delight. "I can't even imagine what that must have looked like. It reminds me of the time I discovered a language where every word was a palindrome. It was baffling, until I realized their writing system was symmetrical." As the laughter died down, Eamon turned to Alessia, smiling. "Captain, I'm sure you have a story or two to share with us. Any memorable moments from your illustrious career?" Alicia hesitated, her eyes flicking between the eager faces of her team. She couldn't recall the last time she had allowed herself to be so candid with her crew, but perhaps Eamon was right. They needed this connection. Clearing her throat, she began, "There was this one mission where we were sent to negotiate with a hostile alien race. Their leader was known for his volatile temper and disdain for diplomacy. During our audience with him, our translator malfunctioned, and instead of conveying our peaceful intentions, it informed the alien leader that his mother resembled a space slug." The team erupted into laughter, their eyes wide with disbelief. Eamon wiped a tear from his eye, chuckling. "I can only imagine how that went over." Alicia grinned, a rare display of mirth. "Not well, as you might expect. We barely escaped with our lives, but we managed to salvage the negotiations in the end. It taught me a valuable lesson about the importance of communication and the usefulness of a backup translator." As the evening wore on, the emotional bonds between the team members strengthened, their shared laughter and stories forging connections that would serve them well in the trials to come. The journey through the Gennari Dominion required the utmost stealth and caution. The Umbra's cloaking technology provided them with a protective shroud, but it was their collective wit and intuition that would ultimately determine their success. As they ventured deeper into enemy territory, the team found themselves relying on each other more than ever before. It wasn't long before they faced a true test of their skills and nerves. An urgent alert from the ship's sensors roused Alicia from her quarters. The sound of her racing heart filled her ears as she sprinted to the bridge, her mind racing with potential threats. As she burst through the door, she found Eamon already at his station, his face a mask of concentration. "What's the situation?" Alessia asked, her voice tight with anxiety. Eamon glanced up, his eyes reflecting the gravity of the moment. "Captain, we've got a Gennari patrol vessel closing in on our position. We're at the edge of their sensor range, but if they come any closer, they'll detect us." Alessia's mouth went dry, her mind racing through their options. Evasive maneuvers? Can we outrun them? Eamon shook his head. Not without alerting them to our presence. We've got the element of surprise on our side, but we'd lose it if we tried to flee. Alessia considered their predicament, her mind weighing the potential consequences of each choice. All right, we can't risk a direct confrontation. We'll hide. Kill the engines and power down all non-essential systems. Dr. Chen prepped the environmental suits just in case. The crew sprang into action, their movements swift and efficient, their minds focused on the task at hand. The Umbra's engines fell silent, the ship seemingly disappearing into the darkness of space. Alicia stood on the bridge, her eyes glued to the view screen, her knuckles white as she gripped the edge of her command console. She could feel the tension radiating from her team, the unspoken fear that hung in the air like a shroud. As the Gennari patrol vessel loomed mere meters away, Naya leaned in and whispered, "Captain, they're scanning our vicinity. They must have picked up something." Alessia's heart pounded in her chest, but she forced herself to remain calm. "Hold your positions. Don't make a sound." Every crew member held their breath, their bodies rigid with tension as they watched the alien ship on the view screen. The seconds stretched into minutes, each moment feeling like an eternity. With a deft hand, Eamon adjusted their course, the Umbra slipping silently through the darkness as the Gennari ship continued on its patrol, blissfully unaware of their presence. When the vessel finally disappeared from sight, the crew exhaled in unison, relief washing over them like a tidal wave. Alessia felt her legs grow weak, but she forced herself to remain standing. "Well done, everyone. We live to fight another day."